Picture this. A local guide is out on a routine dive near a reef in Western Australia. Suddenly, a massive manta ray, 3 meters wide, swims straight at him. Not away from him, straight at him. She circles back again and again. Then she does something strange. She rolls over, unfurls the fins near her head, and holds herself completely still, presenting her eye, an eye that's got fishing hooks buried in it. The diver realizes what's happening. She's not attacking. She's asking for help. Now here's the question that should stop you in your tracks. How does a wild animal, something that spent its entire evolutionary life avoiding humans, decide, in that split second, that a human is safe enough to trust with a problem it can't solve alone? Stick around, because the answer isn't magic, and it isn't animals just know. It's something way more interesting. It's math. It's memory. And in some cases, it's something disturbingly close to reasoning. So let's start simple. Every wild animal has what scientists call a flight initiation distance. Basically, it's the invisible line around them. The moment you cross it, they run. Why does that line exist? Because for most of history, a human walking toward you was the predator. Fleeing was always the safer bet. But here's the problem. Fleeing costs energy. And when an animal is badly injured, exhausted, dehydrated, or trapped, that cost changes completely. If staying put means certain death anyway, running isn't safe anymore, it's pointless. So what does this mean? It means the calculation flips. Researchers describe this using a framework from behavioral economics. The animal is essentially weighing two bad options: stay and die, or approach something unfamiliar and maybe survive. When death is guaranteed either way, the fear of humans suddenly isn't the biggest threat in the room anymore. That's the first piece of the puzzle. But it doesn't fully explain the manta ray story. Fear breaking down explains why an animal might stop running. It doesn't explain why it would specifically swim toward a person and hold still for help. For that, we need to go deeper into how these animals actually process the humans in front of them. Here's where it gets interesting. Animals aren't just detecting human equals danger as one fixed rule. They're constantly updating that judgment in real time based on cues, how fast you're moving, your posture, and especially where you're looking. Human eyes are unusual in the animal kingdom. We've got large, visible whites around our pupils, which makes our gaze direction really easy to read from a distance. A lot of species have learned to watch that specifically. A slow approach with eyes averted, non-threatening body language that gets processed completely differently than someone moving fast and staring directly at them. Scientists call this a kind of ongoing risk assessment, almost like the animal is running a live probability update. Is this human dangerous or not? And it's not just abstract theory. Physical distress itself seems to play a role too. Researchers studying interoception, essentially an animal's internal sense of its own pain and panic, believe that intense physical suffering can override the standard fight or flight wiring entirely, opening the door to riskier, more deliberate behavior, like approaching a stranger for help. But the next question is even bigger. Is this just a fear-based override? Or is something more sophisticated happening? Do these animals actually understand that a human can help them? This is where a 2020 study on kangaroos gets genuinely wild. Researchers put habituated kangaroos in front of a clear box containing food. First, the box was easy to open, no problem, they got the food themselves. Then researchers locked it. Instead of just repeatedly attacking the box the way a wolf typically would, the kangaroos did something else entirely. 10 out of 11 turned and looked directly at the human standing nearby. And 9 of those actively glanced back and forth. Box, human, a behavior scientists call referential gaze alternation. It's the same signal dogs give you when they want you to open a door. This matters because kangaroos were never domesticated. For decades, scientists assumed this kind of asking a human for help behavior was something we bred into dogs and horses over thousands of years. This study suggested otherwise, that any sufficiently social, intelligent species might have the built-in cognitive tools to treat a human as a potential problem solver, not just a threat. So now we've got two ingredients: animals whose fear response can be overridden by desperation, and some species that appear capable of recognizing a human as a useful outside agent. Put those together and you start getting real, documented rescues. Let's run through a few because they're honestly stunning. Back to that manta ray nicknamed Freckles. The diver, over several dives, carefully worked the hooks out with pliers while she stayed completely motionless. Weeks later, she was spotted feeding normally. Then there's a bottlenose dolphin off the coast of Hawaii that swam directly into a group of divers with fishing line wrapped around its fin. It let a diver cut the line loose, even rolling onto its back to expose the injury and give better access. Or look at gray whales in a breeding lagoon in Mexico. These were once called devilfish because of how violently they defended themselves from whalers. Now, mothers actively push their calves toward tourist boats and let people pick parasites off their skin. And it's not just marine animals. In Russia, an emaciated tiger with a destroyed jaw, unable to hunt, walked out of the forest and lay down on someone's front porch. In Alaska, for young deer, freezing and exhausted trying to swim across icy waters, swam straight for a passing boat and were pulled to safety. But here's the problem, and this is important. A lot of people watch videos like this and assume the animal feels gratitude or love toward humans. Scientists are pretty firm that this isn't what's happening. Now here's where a lot of viral videos get it completely wrong. People watch a dolphin roll onto its back for a rescuer, or a manta ray hold dead still while someone pulls hooks out of its eye, and the comments always say the same thing. Look how much it trusts him. It feels like a heartwarming moment of interspecies love. But here's the problem, that stillness isn't calm. A lot of the time, you're looking at tonic immobility, an involuntary shutdown response triggered by extreme fear or physical restraint. Flip a shark upside down and it goes rigid the exact same way. It's not the animal relaxing into your care. It's the final stage of its body's defense system, a biological freeze switch, while internally its heart rate and stress hormones are spiking. In a very real sense, it's in shock. Then there's plain exhaustion. Think about that Siberian tiger with the destroyed jaw, or the deer swimming for hours in freezing water. By the time they reach a human, there's simply no energy left to run or resist. What looks like peaceful surrender is often just total physical collapse. So why does this matter? Because the real story isn't that these animals feel affection for us. It's that their bodies are running an emergency override, survival instinct briefly beating out every warning sign screaming, human equals danger. That's why scientists use critical anthropomorphism instead of the naive version. Naive anthropomorphism says the dolphin is thanking the diver like a person would. Critical anthropomorphism asks what the behavior is actually doing biologically. That dolphin rolling over isn't gratitude. It's a functional adjustment that relieves pressure and protects the injured fin during the cut. So the takeaway isn't animals learning to love us. It's that under the right kind of desperation, a wild brain can treat a human as a tool for survival, and that's honestly more impressive than any fairy tale about trust. So here's the big takeaway. When a wild animal approaches a human for help, it's not friendship, and it's not magic. It's a rapid, high-stakes calculation, physiological exhaustion breaking down its fear response, combined with a real, sometimes surprisingly sophisticated ability to identify a human as a potential source of relief. But this raises another problem, because not every human-animal encounter ends this well. In fact, a huge number of animals end up in this kind of distress because of human activity in the first place. Fishing gear, habitat loss, animals getting too comfortable around people until it becomes dangerous for everyone. So if you've ever wondered why wildlife agencies sometimes refuse to help an animal in the wild, or why a friendly wild animal can actually turn into a serious problem, that's exactly what we're breaking down next. Watch that video right here and I'll see you there.